Have you ever questioned what constitutes knowledge? Well, you're not the only one to do so. The question is as old as the origins of philosophy. One of the early instances being Plato's dialogues, notably Meno. Although it would be interesting to dig in how the ancient Greek gave the answer to this question. But today we will be taking a look at monumental philosophy paper that created a long discourse in the philosophy community. It was titled, "Is Justified True Belief Knowledge?" written by Edmund Gettier. This was the paper that introduced us to the infamous Gettier Problem. Gettier challenged the long-held view of the justified true belief that subject or a person can know a proposition if and only if all three of the following conditions are justified. First, proposition is true. Second, subject believes proposition. Third, subject is justified in believing proposition. In this sense, the above holds that knowledge is equivalent to justified true belief. Seems pretty reasonable, I'd say. But Gettier was not happy with this argument, as someone could have misleading evidence which could lead to a false justified belief. He gave us two counterexamples that shows how a person can have justified true belief but still fail to know it, while justified turned out to be false. This wasn't a new argument per se, as Bertrand Russell proposed the stopped clock case, where Alice sees a clock that reads 2 o'clock and believes it is 2 o'clock. The problem is that Alice does not know that she's looking at a clock that stopped 12 hours ago. In this sense, she has an accidental true justified belief. Gettier's counterexamples rely on the use of entailment or logical consequence. For example, my horrific sleeping schedule causes me to sleep during my lectures, and then getting berated by my lecturer is the logical consequence. I'm sorry, Mr. Pemberton, please just let me sleep for once. Anyhow, getting back to the first counterexample. Suppose we have two people, Smith and Jones. Both have applied for a job and end up meeting somewhere. John counts up coin in his pocket and says he has 10 coins. While this is happening, John gets an email about the president of the company assuring Jones that he will get the job. Now Smith is disappointed, but at least he has enough evidence to stop going after that job, because he believes that Jones, who has 10 coins in his pocket, will get the job. From this he concludes that the man who will get the job has 10 coins in his pocket. That is the proposition P, which our subject Smith thinks he knows about it. But wait a minute, there's a plot twist, boys. The president changes his mind and says, "Bruh, Smith has some good assets," and then proceeds to hire Smith instead. Now at this point, Smith's belief that the man who will get the job has 10 coins in his pocket is true, because Smith is the person who will get the job, while he also has 10 coins in his pocket. But he just does not know about it. Thus all of this makes his belief true. While for justification, Smith has good reasons to believe in that Jones will get the job, because he saw Jones having 10 coins and receiving president's email. Well, it does lead us to a justified true belief, but it cannot be considered as knowledge, as Smith is oblivious about the situation. He is wrong about who will get the job, plus he does not know how many coins he has in his pocket. Still not satisfied? Well, here comes the second counterexample then. Suppose there are 3 people, Smith, Jones and Brown. Smith and Jones become best friends after the job incident. Jones offers Smith a ride in a Ford. Due to this, Smith believes that Jones owns a Ford. Now we have Brown, who is another friend of Smith. He has been on a long vacation after the pandemic, but Smith does not know where Brown is. Smith was feeling bored, so he came up with 3 propositions. Either Jones owns a Ford, or Brown is in Boston. Either Jones owns a Ford, or Brown is in Barcelona. Either John owns a Ford, or Brown is in Brest-Litovsk. All of these propositions come from the evidence that Jones offered Smith a ride in a Ford, although Smith has no idea where Brown is. Well, little did we know, Brown is in Barcelona, and that Jones was just showing off a rented Ford. The H proposition that either Jones owns a Ford or Brown is in Barcelona is true. While Smith is justified to believe in such a proposition because he had enough evidence that Jones owns a Ford. Although, again, he has a justified true belief, but does not have proper knowledge about anything, ultimately proving the JTB false. These are not only examples which defy the JTB, but there are many simpler ones out there. For example, in the book 101 Philosophy Problems, it is supposed that there is a farmer who, while checking up on his favorite cow, confuses a distant piece of black and white paper stuck in the bushes as the cow. He believes that his favorite cow is in the field in front of him. However, since the animal actually is in the field, but hidden in a hollow, again the farmer has a justified true belief, which seems nonetheless not to qualify as knowledge. Many people in response to Gettier's problem propose to alter the definition of knowledge in order to remove the possibilities of false premises. Due to this, an interesting issue arose, that how to know which premises are false or true when deriving a conclusion. As shown in above cases, that premises can be reasonable to believe and be likely true, but unknown to the believer. There are confounding factors and extra information that may have been missed while concluding something. The question that arises is therefore, to what extent would one have to be able to go about attempting to prove all premises in the argument before solidifying a conclusion? There have been many other interesting responses which have created even more such questions. Some people even added another condition to JTB to make it valid. But for now we are running out of time. Although do not be disappointed, as there will be a second part which will cover the responses to this philosophical paper. Until then, peace sinners!